A more pertinent question to ask about the word woke might be, why in such a short time has it gone from a rallying cry to a pejorative? If the word only made you think of rational, deserved causes like teaching a less whitewashed version of American history, AOC would still want to own it. But it's a joke because it makes you think of people who wake up offended and take orders from Twitter, and their oversensitivity has grown tires.
Bill Maher delivered a sharp and uncompromising critique of the Democratic Party, calling out its ongoing failure to separate itself from the activist-driven wing that has dominated its messaging for nearly a decade. Maher argued that after the movement's clear role in the party's most recent electoral setback, leadership should have recalibrated. Instead, Democrats continue to accommodate the loudest ideological voices, drifting further away from broad voter appeal. His remarks landed with force, sparking discussion across political circles. Let's unpack what he said and why it struck such a nerve.
But you never hear anyone bragging about being a liberal. There's no liberal Bob Schmohawk as a liberal who wants to enact more liberal policies. Democrats might want to think about what that means, because the implication is you're embarrassed by what liberalism has become, that the term is now irredeemably coupled with woke nonsense, which is a shame, because despite their nonsense, it's still generally a better product. But what does it say about your brand if you don't want to say what you are?
Maher accused the DNC of suffering from a deep-rooted identity crisis. According to him, Democrats often appear uneasy with their own history, frequently apologizing for it rather than defending their accomplishments. He contrasted this with Republicans, who unapologetically embrace their conservative identity and project confidence in their beliefs. Whether people agree with them or not, the GOP presents a clear sense of self. Democrats, by comparison, seem caught trying to satisfy every faction at once, losing coherence in the process. Maher's point was blunt. A party uncertain of its values cannot effectively compete against one that stands firmly behind its principles.
What does it say about your brand if you don't want to say what you are? So much of liberal politics nowadays is identity politics, and yet it seems we found the one thing liberals won't identify as: liberals.
This is where Maher's argument hits hardest. Modern liberals, he says, rush to advocate for every emerging cause that signals moral awareness, particularly online. If a movement trends on social media, it's immediately defended, even when the ideas conflict with one another. Yet when it comes to defending liberalism itself, free expression, open dialogue, individual rights, many go silent. Maher suggests this hesitation stems from fear of criticism. Instead of debating ideas, disagreement is often discouraged. In his view, the shift from discussion to dismissal has cost liberals cultural credibility and weakened their influence.
James Carville knew how to win, and he blamed the Democratic losses this November 2nd on stupid wokeness, to which AOC fired back that wokeness is a term almost exclusively used by older people these days. So that should tell you all you need to know. What? This is a term folks like you brought out very recently and had been proudly displaying at every march since. Just last year, The Guardian declared woke the word of our era. I guess they didn't get the memo from the Mean Girls Club. We don't use that emoji anymore. Woke, please, we say fetch now.
What's especially striking is how quickly the word woke itself has fallen out of favor among those who once promoted it enthusiastically. Not long ago, it was used proudly as a marker of awareness and moral progress. Social platforms were filled with declarations celebrating it. Now, many distance themselves from the term entirely, claiming it was misunderstood or misused. Maher sees this retreat as revealing. When a movement abandons its own label the moment it becomes controversial, it suggests a lack of confidence in the ideas behind it. If the slogan can't survive scrutiny, the issue may run deeper than branding.
What a great strategy, never missing an opportunity to remind voters how lame and clueless and hopelessly uncool they are, especially since those are the ones who actually vote. But okay, fine. What word would you like us to use for the plainly insane excesses of the left that are not liberalism, but something completely different? Because you can't have that word liberal from us and think it should cover things like canceling Lincoln and teaching third graders they're oppressors. That's all your new thing.
Ironically, while the label has changed, Maher argues the underlying beliefs have not. The same arguments continue under new terminology, repackaged to sound more acceptable. Concepts once defended under the woke banner are now presented differently, but the substance remains. Maher contends this rebranding effort doesn't resolve the disconnect with everyday voters. It merely disguises it. Changing language without addressing practical concerns, he says, only widens the gap between political messaging and lived reality. The ideas persist, even if the name has been quietly shelved.
If the word only made you think of rational, deserved causes like teaching a less whitewashed version of American history, AOC would still want to own it. But it's a joke, because it makes you think of people who wake up offended and take orders from Twitter, and their oversensitivity has grown tiresome. That said, I would love to have AOC on this show.
Maher also criticized what he described as a constant cycle of outrage. When there's no current issue to protest, attention shifts to past events, historical figures, or cultural artifacts that can be reinterpreted through a modern lens. Rather than contextual discussion, the response often becomes removal or condemnation. Maher sees this as counterproductive. A society unwilling to grapple with history in full becomes less resilient, not more enlightened. He warned that this approach fuels internal division and undermines the party's ability to present a stable, forward-looking vision.
That said, I would love to have AOC on this show. There's so much to admire there. I was one of her first supporters for the Green New Deal idea. But that will probably never happen because Democrats don't go anywhere these days where they're not pre-adored. And that's my last bit of advice to them. Go where the Amen Corner isn't. Do Fox News. Be brave. Come here. Go everywhere. Winning is about expanding the electorate.
He then pointed to figures like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez as examples of a broader media dynamic. Maher suggested that many prominent voices prefer interviews that reinforce their views rather than challenge them. Appearances tend to occur in friendly spaces where tough follow-up questions are unlikely. This creates an echo chamber that rewards agreement and discourages debate. Maher's frustration centers on accountability. If leaders avoid environments where their ideas are tested, it signals uncertainty rather than strength. A movement confident in its beliefs should be willing to defend them anywhere.
Democrats who 1 year from now will be licking their wounds and asking themselves how they could have lost the midterms so badly must instead ask themselves that question now. Now. You know, now. Like, while there's still time to do something about it.
Nearly a year after their electoral defeat, Democrats are still struggling to regain momentum. Polling reflects continued skepticism from voters, despite heavy media messaging. Meanwhile, Donald Trump remains a dominant presence on issues many Americans prioritize, including border security, economic stability, and foreign policy. While opinions on his style vary widely, Maher noted that Trump's focus aligns closely with voter concerns. Democrats, by contrast, often rely on slogans that fail to address those priorities directly. Substance, Maher argues, consistently outperforms presentation when it comes to earning trust.
A couple of weeks ago, Amy Klobuchar was here, and when I suggested the Democrats need a messaging czar, she offered me the job. Well, you need a messaging czar in your party.
And do you think it should be you?
Amy, I'm flattered. But after careful consideration, I must decline. The hours it would take me away from home would make it very difficult on my family. But I will tonight, once again, break out my coach hat and try to point the Democrats in the right direction. That's all I can do.
Maher emphasized that the party's messaging lacks clarity and direction. During the last election cycle, even politically engaged voters struggled to articulate what the Democratic ticket stood for. The messaging appeared fragmented, aimed more at appeasing ideological factions than communicating a unified vision. Maher suggested the party needs a reset, someone capable of crafting messages that resonate beyond activist circles. Clear communication, grounded in everyday concerns, is essential. Without it, Even strong policies fail to connect with the people they're meant to serve.
I know liberals think this country is full of dumb white people, but in our democracy, dumb white people make up a substantial portion of the vote. The median voter is a white person in their 50s who didn't go to college, their favorite TV show is NCIS, and their pronouns are what? I don't know what the you're talking about, and get away from me. In 2008, Republicans only won 4 Virginia counties by more than 70%. This month, in the governor's election there, they did it in 45 counties. And this is what a lot of Democrats were told was the reason for that. Glenn Youngkin's win proves white ignorance is a powerful weapon. Racism still works in Virginia. It's not the messaging, folks. This country simply still loves white supremacy.
This confusion, Maher said, has been compounded by a tendency to deflect blame. When results disappoint, responsibility is often shifted outward rather than examined internally. Critics, voters, or broader social forces become the explanation. Maher believes this avoidance prevents meaningful reform. Growth requires acknowledging missteps and adjusting accordingly. Doubling down on narratives that haven't worked only accelerates disengagement. Until the party confronts its shortcomings honestly, it risks further erosion of credibility.
Well, I haven't worked up an official Democratic campaign slogan for 2024 yet, but I tell you what I have ruled out is vote Democrat because white people suck. It's like trying to get laid by saying, you're ugly, you want to dance? You're alienating a whole lot of people, particularly whites without a college degree, which is most of them in a country that's still 70% white. I'd say do the math, but math is a form of white supremacy.
Ultimately, Maher's critique wasn't meant as an attack for its own sake. It was a call for course correction. He highlighted what many observers have noticed: an over-reliance on ideological signaling, inconsistent messaging, and reluctance to face uncomfortable realities. By prioritizing the loudest voices over the broader electorate, the party continues to lose ground. Maher's message was clear. Relevance comes from accountability, clarity, and connection. Without those, no amount of branding will reverse the trend. That brings us to the end of today's video. If you found it valuable, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again next time.